Welcome. We've reached the end of the arc. This story of 5 parts of training as a strategy. And finally today, I'm talking with Adam Specht again. Who else would I be talking to? This time, I want to ask what happens when times get tough? And right now, for instance, in New Zealand, where I'm filming this from, there's a huge amount of redundancies going on. We're only a small nation, so we really notice it when thousands of people are let go from jobs. And as companies start to tighten up their cost savings, should they be considering throwing overboard training as a strategy? Would that really make sense? So that's what I'm going to talk to Adam about today. When times are tough, should we let go of these softer strategies and tighten down the hatches? So welcome, Adam. It's lovely to have you again.
It's great to be back.
Fantastic. So how about we start with that question. When times are tough, is that the time when we go, you know what, maybe it would give the wrong impression if we're training people while we're letting others go?
You know, it's a very tempting choice for leaders to make. But I would argue that when times are tough and perhaps in light of a redundancy, a layoff, that's when you need training the most. You need the people that are left behind to operate at an even higher level. So while it may be tempting to sort the spreadsheet and see where your costs are, or think about it in terms of soft skills, I would imagine, or I would make the position that that's the exact wrong time to pull back and cut training.
Okay, so maybe we could bring out some of the information we've had in some of the other episodes. I don't know if you've got the stats handy, but we did look at the impact of training for retention rates.
Mm-hmm. We did. And what the statistics show is that organizations with good, solid training indicate anywhere between 30 to 50% retention. And if you can imagine in the wake of a layoff, of a redundancy, of the people that are left behind and how they might be feeling, and you don't want to start a tsunami of people leaving the organization. So while you've right-sized, you want to ensure and communicate and signal to those that are left behind, hey, we still care and value you. If you think in terms of confidence, individuals report feeling 50 to 60% more confident because of the training they've received. So again, think about people left in the wake and how their insecurity could be communicated out to the end customer. So again, training, cutting back on that, you set up the possibility of the people left behind now also starting to leave and it getting out of control, and people being is not as confident as they could be. And one small way to deliver on both of those is through training.
Yeah, perfect. So part of training being a strategy isn't just about transferring skills or upskilling people. It's actually leveling up their confidence. And because the training, that's an outcome. The outcome's not just, well, I'm more skilled. The outcome is I'm more confident. And in times of uncertainty, I think that's a really good point, Adam, that maintaining the training regime is actually going to ensure that people, they're not going to drop too far into that pit of despair, which can happen. And I know different organisations I've been in where there's been redundancies, you end up tending to pick up someone else's job as well, because it's not like it was a wasted person. They were doing something and now someone else has got to do it. Mm-hmm. And you often need some training to be able to do their role as well.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if you think about not only the training to understand their job role, but even thinking about how to be more effective, how to be more lean, how to be more agile. Those are all things that are very easy to put training together, just utilizing what's available on YouTube. But that's a great way to then support the team in the wake of of a potential layoff, or frankly, even if there hasn't been layoffs, how can we make the team operate at a higher level? You need them to be performing like never before.
So when training is turned off, what are we communicating to our staff? So let's take an organisation that says, you know what, we're cutting costs, and training we're going to, they're one of the people we're going to make redundant, right? Hope that doesn't happen to you, Adam, but that can happen.
For sure.
Right? So what message is that really sending to the staff when training disappears?
We talked about in one of our previous episodes, perhaps several episodes, companies with strong training programs experience 24% higher profits. So I'm not suggesting that you don't take a look at your training programs and how can you do less with more and, be wise with your investments. But cutting training and training staff is such a false economy. I mean, there's a direct correlation between good, strong training and making more money, which is what you need to do when times are tough. So this is really the time, I would say, to double down on your training efforts so you can carve out that competitive advantage. Be wise with your investments for sure. But I would offer that pulling back on your training is such a false economy because you're undercutting your staff, your competitive advantages, that taproot that we keep referring to.
Yeah, I'm glad you referred back to that because ideally all our business strategy is about positioning us where we have the advantage. We're going to where the customers are, and we're positioning ourselves in a way that makes us attractive to them, or at least an obstacle, so they're going to have to come through us before they, so that's kind of what you're after. So if you take away the training, that at that very moment, that could be giving you more of a competitive advantage. If the market is tough all around, you can be sure your competitors are having the same issues. Or if you're for instance, in New Zealand, a lot of the government departments are scaling back. They've sort of increased their staff over the pandemic. And probably a little bit of that was that they actually just needed more people because there were more demand on government services than before. So paring that back, you're going to have to try and help the other people who remain to be more effective at providing those services. So whether you've got a monopoly on a service or competing, training's contributing to that, to what makes that organisation unique. But let's just go into the costs. So you have talked about the need to pare back costs. So can you outsource the training? Is there some way to reduce the... and normally training teams aren't that big, right? I've never noticed it to be a huge financial burden for an organisation.
Exactly right. It's funny you mentioned before about training teams tend to be rather small, but then they're a juicy target for cuts. And especially when there's so many different ways to deliver training and learning inside an organization in such a low-cost way. But when you talk specifically about outsourcing, one of the issues that can often come up is sort of the optics of that. Of we're times are tough, but now we're going to bring in outside consultants. But it all gets back to when you talk about costs. I've never really understood the idea or the approach of let's send our people into the job less equipped than they could be or ill-equipped. So again, we come back to this idea. I'm not suggesting we spend money frivolously, but again, it's this sort of false economy. If you have to hire in help, there's all sorts of fractional arrangements. There's third-party learning tools, third-party trainers for hire. If that's what you need in this short-term arrangement to to carve out those advantages and get the benefits you need during these tough times, then whether it's internal or external, there's loads of ways to do it cost effectively.
Right. So I guess you could have someone come in and do train the trainer as well, right? That's classic. Is okay. Well, we still need to ensure that our staff know how to deliver good quality training, and that their training, the content is absolutely applicable to the organisation. In fact, I watched a video of yours on LinkedIn earlier today talking about the data, how to use data to improve your training. So for viewers, absolutely go to Adam's channel for some excellent training tips, how to make your own training more productive. So I think we probably sort of wrap it up there, because we're both clearly on the same page that when times are tough, and I've come from a background of transforming organisations, so times were really tough when I'd get called in. Things had fallen apart. The organisation had been liquidated, or there was millions being bled annually, and they needed fixing. So I often viewed that as the gauntlet's been thrown down, and I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to go find the other one and the rest of that suit of armour, and we're going to win this battle. And training is that gauntlet. It's a vital piece of organisational armour. It's not a plan. It's organisations that go for, well, let's have a training plan. We talked about this in our first episode. Plans are like tracks, railway tracks, and they're there to get you from A to B, and they're quite easily derailed. Anything can come up as an obstacle to prevent you from getting there. Whereas a training strategy is like taking a flight, and it's got a much different direction and can adjust for conditions, and often is quicker to get you to your destination as well. So, Adam, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about training as a strategy. I hope we can return to this subject in the future. If anyone would like to connect with you for information on your views on training as a strategy, where can they find you?
The easiest place to find me is at noboringtraining.com. Also very active on YouTube at No Boring Training, and as you mentioned before, LinkedIn under Adam Specht, where I give free daily training tips. Just ring the bell and you'll get free tips every day. But noboringtraining.com is home base. And I'd like to return your kind words. This has been a great conversation running over the last 5 episodes, and it's been an honor to chat with you. Really appreciate the time, and hopefully your audience found value in the discussion.
Yeah, well, I'm going to have a wee cry now. It's my coffee. You've been listening to Adam Specht and David Ketchen. Thank you so much for watching. Well done, Adam.